And then the last cut on the album, the No Regrets, where you started off with the Denzel monologue there. What what made that work on that? Because it seemed like slightly against a lot of what the album was talking about.
Yeah, well, I don't want you to get too comfortable. You know what I mean? As a listener, I don't want you to just sit there and think I'm gonna be dropping all this, positivity, because that ain't balance. The balance of life is negative and positive. You know what I mean? The only way you get a battery to work is through the negative energy and the positive energy. So you need both. You just got to be able to balance both and know when it's time to get a little dark. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like a prelude as well to OG3, because with OG2 being so sunny, I got to add some balance to it and give you some of that darkness too that people know we could do as well.
Okay. And then what about collaborating with the Realest? Because I know a lot of people are always saying he's trying to ride Pac's coattails and stuff. So what made him somebody you were comfortable working with in 2020?
Well, outside of the music, me and the Realest, and actually the Realest are pretty much a lot of the Outlawz developed a more personal relationship and got to know who he was. And so I'm not really gonna go into detail about a lot of things, but I will say, he's one of the more solid individuals that I have a relationship in this industry. And on that reason alone, we've done music before, and me and him have done records before. And to be completely honest with you, No Regrets is about 5 years old. We did that back in 2013 when I first moved back to LA. And Realest was one of the first people I connected with when I got back to the city. He's always been a supportive kind of individual. He's a more positive individual, and I kind of tend to connect more with people that are more positive and upbeat. He don't really got a lot of negative things to say about nobody. He just do what he do. And I know he caught a lot of flack for, falling into that so-called Pac, wave. But a lot of MCs did after Pac died. So if we're gonna start calling people out, man, it's a list of them. Where you want me to start?
It still goes on till today. It's a lot.
Still to this day, man, a whole empire has been built on the strength of Pac. You know what I mean? So, if the Realest is guilty of that, he ain't alone.
Right.
The courtroom is packed.
Yep, there's a lot of testifying that be going on.
100%.
So that being said, with obviously we're in the middle of the pandemic here with COVID, and then we have the George Floyd stuff and all the insurrections
going on. Crazy times.
Absolutely. So if we look at those things individually, either one would have disrupted us, but the combination, what do you think the combination of the two of them has had on you as a person, and then as we see it unfolding in our society?
Well, it's really let me know personally that a lot of the internal work I've done on myself was for this time period right here. You know what I mean? Because an older version of me probably would not have, adjusted as well as I think I've been adjusting. The old me couldn't sit still. I always had to be doing something. And so now you're forced to sit still. And when we forced to sit still, we're forced to look at ourselves. But I've been accustomed to sitting still prior to this. So it wasn't really that much of adjustment. You know what I mean? Because I understand that the need to sit still, and that's one of the hardest things for us to do, especially when we're go-getters and we, entrepreneurs, and we understand that what we kill is what we eat. We always on to the next possibility and the next money-making situation. And so I had to learn how to balance life, or I would eventually burn out. That's how a lot of us die young, from stress, bad health, eating, started to pay more attention to my health. And so really, it couldn't have come at a better time when I really look at it for me personally, because prior to it, I was doing a lot of touring, I was traveling a lot. The the travel is wear and tear as you get a little older. You know what I mean? And you ain't flying private. You know, just to be honest with you, we don't fly private when we traveling 23 hours to Nepal. You know what I mean? A lot of times we might be even in coach. You know what I'm saying? So I welcome the break. Now I'm ready to get back to work though.
Yeah. And so then how are you preparing yourself to get back to work? And what do you have lined up?
Man, we don't have anything lined up as far as right now. Everything that we are currently involved in is our businesses outside of music. But we still dropping projects just to keep our fans, you know, satisfied with new music. The ones that appreciate the new music from us, we're gonna keep something coming. But we also started a hemp company, Outlawz Hemp is official. We dropped it in late June, and it's already getting a lot of positive, you know, responses from our product. We'll be in smoke shops around the country by the end of the year, and so we're focusing on businesses outside of music just to maintain and make sure, you know, we maximize that IP. You know what that's about, Soren?
Absolutely. That's the key to the game. That is the key to the game. Multiple revenue streams.
100%. 100%. And then hopefully we'll get back on the road, man. You know, 2021. Hopefully this thing, you know, has ran its course. Hopefully America, as a country and as a government, will learn how to handle this thing a little bit better. Hopefully people will stop dying, and you know, things can go back to normal.
Right. And then with the personal stuff, as far as this is a good time for these types of things to happen, and kind of comparing and contrasting, like what, being that you're able to slow down and think and not just be in motion all the time, like were there a series of things that happened? Because I know a little bit of that, a little bit of that you talked about and talk about it, but specifically for your life, was there a lot of big things that happened, or was it one thing, or was it gradual? Like, how did it happen?
You know, life is full of twists and turns. You know, I mean, I'm a father, and I have children, and one of my things that are not professional, probably the thing that I care about the most outside of my relationship with my fiance, is my relationship with my children and being a father. My children are from my marriage that ended many years ago, but it's important for me to maintain that relationship. You know what I mean? I'm a grandfather now as well. And my daughter graduated high school, which was, you know, an amazing thing because she persevered through me and her mom's divorce and so many other things in her life to not only graduate, but graduate at the top of her class and earn a you know, an acceptance to a major college that she'll be starting to in the fall. So all of these milestones, you know, continue to happen while we live in this life that we live. And of course it affects you. It makes you, you know, look at life different. It makes you take, you know, the future a lot more serious. You know, honestly, growing up the way we grew up and the lifestyle we was living, the future wasn't really something we paid a lot of attention to. You know, we was either living in the now, or, you know, living in the in a place where none of us existed. So to really think about the future and start adding to my foundation and things of that nature is it's important. And I don't think it's any accident that certain things happen in the world. I believe in everything happening the way it's supposed to, and maybe we all needed a little break and a chance to slow down.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. If we as a country and even as a world are able to kind of look at things a little differently, what we need versus what we don't, and not doing a lot of wasteful stuff, I think it could actually be helpful. And then if we're able to, in our country, you know, address the problems of the system that created the George Floyd scenarios, that could also be positive if we actually act on these things. So
yeah, and a lot of stuff is systemic, and we have to, you know, kind of really do away with the old and allow the new to come in and a new way of thinking. And you know, that shit takes a lot of time, but you know, all of us have to do our part to push it forward. That's all we could do.
Absolutely. All right, E.D.I, well, appreciate you coming through, man, to Unique Access. Always a pleasure chopping it up with you, man.
Always a pleasure chopping it up with you, Soren. Much continued success. I can't wait to see the interview when it's all done. And I appreciate your support always, dog.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Your MTV back with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gang-bang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.